All right, what's going on, guys? My name is Fish, and welcome to a very special episode of the Fish Tank. Because I just found out I have some technical difficulties, so I can't actually record this on my camera, which is what I like to do for these better. So I'm just going to have some gameplay over this as I talk about it. But I want to talk about the Royal Rumble match. I know a lot of people have been talking about it this past week, and I just want to throw my 2 cents in there. But first off, I just want to say this is not a whole Royal Rumble pay-per-view review. It was great, if you want my 2 cents about that. But I just want to look at some of the aspects of the Royal Rumble match itself that people were upset about and just, are still angry about it either on Twitter or whatever. So with that being said, the first thing that I saw that a lot of people were very upset about was the fact that there were really no surprise entrances in the Royal Rumble match. All we really got was Ty Dillinger, which was great. He came in at number 10, which is what everyone wanted. It was a huge pop, one of the biggest pops of the night. And I would even consider Enzo Amore coming in at, I think, 28 he was, doing his thing with Brock. That was funny. Whether you want to admit it or not, that was a really great spot. Him just coming out and, being all tough and then being thrown out in a couple seconds by Lesnar. That was really cool. But a lot of people were upset that A, Samoa Joe wasn't in the Rumble match. B, Kurt Angle wasn't in the Royal Rumble match. C, Kenny Omega wasn't in the Royal Rumble match, and that there were no real big debuts or surprises in the match this year. Even Dillinger hasn't officially been called up yet, because I just went to the NXT tapings in Orlando and he's still in NXT. So that was very interesting, but it was cool to see him there as number 10. And I think a lot of times as fans, we try to speculate what the Royal Rumble match is going to be all about. We try to set our expectations of this is what's going to happen, and if this doesn't happen, I'm going to be upset no matter what. And we got to think, all right, I know I do, we got to think about what the point of the Royal Rumble match is. It's not just the surprises, which are cool. I love having either superstars from the past or people getting called up or brand new signees like AJ Styles last year come into the Royal Rumble match, and that was cool. But at the same time, if Samoa Joe came in, especially at number 30, which a lot of us thought, and he lost the match, what do you think that would do to his call up? That would be his first start in the Royal Rumble on the main roster, and he would have lost the Royal Rumble coming in at number 30, the best statistical position to win the match itself. So that wouldn't be a great start to his main roster call up. And we know that Kenny Omega re-signed or is re-signing with New Japan, so he wasn't in the match. Kurt Angle obviously hasn't been cleared to compete, or he would have. And same thing with Finn Balor. He was another person that people wanted to see in the Rumble match. He was my dark horse pick to win. Is that he's not medically cleared, so he can't compete in the match. So sometimes we overhype either people that are going to show up or people we hope to show up. And then when they don't come and we put those expectations on a WWE, we get mad at them for us setting those expectations. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those expectations being set. I think it'd be awesome to see all 4 of those guys come into the Rumble, but it just wasn't in the cards. And to me, that didn't take away from the Rumble match itself, which leads me to my second point of what a lot of people are upset about is Roman Reigns coming in at number 30. It was a very, very interesting move. I wasn't mad when I heard his music come up at number 30. I was more confused. Okay, I get that he lost, his match. He lost his championship match, so but how does he get into the Royal Rumble in the first place? It's just a big loophole. And let's be honest, the whole Royal Rumble entrance process was a big mess, which I'll talk about more next week. But, what would have prevented, AJ Styles, from losing his match? What would have prevented anyone else, on the main roster or in NXT, to just be like, hey, I'm entering the Royal Rumble. There's nothing you could really do about it, unless you're Sami Zayn or Mojo Rawley, who had to qualify for the Rumble. Those were the only 2 people that qualified. Literally everyone else just said, yeah, I'm going to be in it. And then I think that left 8 positions just open for anyone to just kind of walk into the Alamo Dome and be like, hey, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Vince, how you guys doing? Oh yeah, I'm just gonna be in the Royal Rumble match tonight. There's 8 open spots. I'm just gonna walk right in, have fun with that, which is, it is what it is. So hopefully they have some kind of process next year. I doubt it. Maybe like, hey, you get 15 from Raw, 15 from SmackDown. You gotta qualify. Whatever. Just tell us how to get in, and let the wrestlers or the superstars actually get in. And now the last thing I do want to talk about is obviously the finish of the Royal Rumble match with Randy Orton winning. He was my surprise. He was a surprise to me to win the Royal Rumble. I actually had Chris Jericho to win, if you guys want to know. He was my pick to win. I think it would have been a great feud, a way to end the whole best friend thing with Kevin Owens. That would have been great. But he did last 61 minutes. That's incredible for a guy his age. It's weird saying that about Chris Jericho, by the way. Guy his age. He's not, super old. But, DDP yoga works, man. I assume. Go get it. Have fun. Do the yoga. So, Randy Orton, I'll admit, I'm intrigued. I think that's the best and most accurate response I can give, is intrigued. Now, I would have loved to see Chris Jericho win it. I would have loved to see Sami Zayn win it. I think that would have been a cool storyline too. But outside of those two, who would have a good story going to the road to WrestleMania as the main event of WrestleMania besides Randy Orton? And I think about that. I'm like, well, I don't want to see Goldberg in the main event for the title. I don't want to see Brock Lesnar in the main event for the title. I don't think Braun Strowman or Baron Corbin's ready. I don't want to see The Undertaker in that position. And the more I narrow it down, it's like, who else is going to be there? Enzo Amore? Is he going to challenge for the world title at Mania? Big Cass? Handsome Rusev? Which is like the best thing ever right now. So Orton winning the Rumble, now I have a rule about certain storylines, about any storyline really, is that I always give it time to present itself. I always give it time, to impress me. I'm not going to be going right away and say, oh man, Randy Orton win the Rumble, rabble. I'm so mad, rabble. Let me tweet about it in 140 characters, rabble. I don't see the point of that, because you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what kind of story they're going to tell. And granted, more times than not, WWE does tend to underdeliver on their stories. Let's be honest. Look at Shane McMahon and Undertaker from last year, which is another part I'm going to be looking at next week when I talk about plot holes and stories. But Randy Orton has been the most relevant in his career, or not his entire career, but for the past couple years, he's been the most relevant he's been. He returned and, got concussed by Brock Lesnar, got his head gashed open by an elbow. But what did he do before that? Obviously he was out for injury for a long time, but literally for 3, 4, 5 years, ever since maybe 2009, what did Randy Orton do to make people like him? And again, his story with the Wyatt family, it's weird. It's out of nowhere. It doesn't make sense. But I'm at least intrigued by it. I at least am enjoying what Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton and Luke Harper are doing as a group. And I want to see how that concludes. And if that's, Bray and Orton for the title at Mania, I'm all for it. If it's, some other combination, maybe we get to see John Cena and Randy Orton for the first time in a singles match at WrestleMania, I'm interested to see it. So I think the real point I want to get with this is that I think as fans, we need to let WWE try to impress us. Now, I know a lot of times we've been disappointed with the way some storylines have played out. We've been disappointed that we don't see our favorite wrestlers win the big match, and that's okay. WWE, more times than not, has not told good stories. Let's be honest. But I remember listening to a podcast. It was Lance Storm's and Cyrus's podcast called Killing the Town. I just started listening to it. It's been good so far. But Lance Storm tweeted out that that, you know, a lot of fans should stop, you know, watching wrestling as the booker and start watching it as fans. You know, and like I said before, sometimes we overhype stuff that WWE just hasn't promised us. And whether it be, you know, a lot of insider knowledge of, you know, or if Kenny Omega or if Kurt Angle or is Finn Balor ready to go for the Royal Rumble. And I'm not knocking those things. I watch those things and I enjoy those things. But at the same time, they can get us to the point where it's like, you know, we hype up this person's entrance in a Royal Rumble, or we hype up this person winning, and all of a sudden when they don't win, our self-made, you know, ideas of what the Royal Rumble should be like, you know, just come crashing down, and we blame WWE. So what I want to say, I'm not saying if you're mad, you shouldn't be mad. You have every right to be mad if you're mad about a certain topic. You know, I'm not going to tell you what you should and should not be mad about. What I'm asking, though, is that at least give WWE a chance to impress you. And if you start watching wrestling as a fan instead of a booker, I think that would be a really great first step into enjoying the WWE product. You know, and again, WWE is not perfect. And it never will be. Just like any other wrestling promotion will never be perfect. But I think if we start watching it for more enjoyment rather than watching it in order to make our own storylines that most likely won't happen, I think WWE and wrestling in general will be more enjoyable for everyone. But at the end of the day, some people are just going to be angry no matter what WWE does, and they'll go on the internet and talk about it. So I can't do anything about that. But I, for one, really enjoyed the Royal Rumble match. I enjoyed the entire pay-per-view as a whole. I enjoyed NXT TakeOver San Antonio the night before. It was a great, great weekend of just good wrestling. So guys, that's it for my talk. Let me know what you thought of the Royal Rumble match. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Don't forget to thumbs up this video. Be sure to subscribe for more awesome videos. And I'll see you guys next time.